First, I want to welcome everyone for today's session, SOC 2 Automation, which is brought to you by Vortex and Google Cloud. It doesn't matter if you are an early stage startup or a large enterprise, you most likely, and you've dealt with compliance, most likely you came across what I call compliance paralysis. The initial understanding of the investment of the company, what the company needs to do in order to achieve compliance, and maybe a step before that is understanding that without compliance, you are missing on certain deal opportunities. Because today compliance, especially in the area of AI, becomes much more relevant and much more a requirement more than anything else. So the first thing that we see talking with many customers and working in this field for many years is that first, the acknowledgement and understanding that you need to have compliance in order to reach those top deals and opportunities. And the second one is the fact that it takes 6 months and cripples half the company in order to achieve it. We are here today in order to bust these two myths and show you that you can achieve compliance relatively simple, easy, without crippling half of the company and resources on collecting once a year all the evidence, all the documentation, all the logs and everything, sifting through it and achieving compliance. So today, in order to show us how to turn compliance from a roadblock into a competitive advantage, we have an incredible lineup of experts. We're going to kick it off with Eldad, who is the VCSO and lead cloud security compliance architect at Vortex and DevOps, many years of experience as a DevOps and security officer. Tomer Frieder, startup lead for Central Eastern Europe and Baltics at Google Cloud. And special guest, Alon Schindel, VP of AI, Threat Research at Wiz, which is now part of Google. I'm Ran. I'll be your moderator. I am the founder and CBO of Vortex. And during the talk, we will launch a few polls. We're very interested to hear your opinions and the challenges that you are facing. So this is the first one. And the second one, please send us questions throughout the talk. And we will try to leave some time at the end to answer these questions. So don't be shy and post your questions as you have them. Without further ado, I will move it to Eldad to take us forward and take it from here. Eldad, good morning and thank you.
Good morning to all. Thank you for being part of this amazing team. So let me do the most problematic thing for me in life is doing the sharing of screen. I'm sorry. Okay, that's the share of the screen. You can see my screen now? Yes? Yes. So yeah, great. So let me start and talk and explain basic things, as you probably know. Today across Europe, mostly very, very strong in Europe, and I'm also located in Europe, like all of you. Compliance requirements are getting stricter, and they are piling up along the way. Whatever is, GDPR, everybody knows, but we have NIS2 today, chapter 12, sorry. That's a directive. It's 2024. It's pretty new, and most companies don't even know that they need to do that. And there are other compliances that are coming. I don't know if you heard about T1. It's for banking and finance, but it's a big compliance. At the same time, companies are moving faster and faster. The AI, they want to code faster. They want to go deploy faster. They want to go to production faster. And there is a gap. Compliance wants you to do certain things. You want to run faster. And usually it starts to impact the revenue and not only security. and we are talking more about the revenue now, less security. So let's talk about this gap. As you see, my slide is very straightforward. Security depth is killing your deals. Not just security. Security, we know, but let's talk about the deals a little bit. First of all, let me talk about myself very short. My name is Doug. I'm more than 20 years in the infrastructure in cloud, GCP and AWS and Azure. Came from security. I'm a CISSP certified. I hold 4 degrees. Yeah, it's a lot. Computer science, master computer science, economics, and master in economics, but economics, it's less important for this part, even though it has some connection issues. So let's talk about the revenue killer, what we like to call the hidden tax on growth. Most companies think that compliance is a security issue. It's not. It's not only a security issue. In reality, it is one of the biggest hidden blockers to revenue. Why is that? Things like unanswered questionnaire, missing certification, messy process, and things like that. When you create your company, it doesn't feel urgent. You say, we will deal it along the way. But quietly, it kills your deals. Why is that? Sometimes deals your team doesn't even realize they lost. And I will explain why is that. Most companies don't realize that enterprises that are trying to approach companies, usually startup, they start to check the product and the company in the background, checking for compliance, checking for finance stability, and things like that. They don't go to the company and say, do you have compliance? They check it in the back. And even before they even come and want to start a deal with you, they will check that before. And that happens before even you talk to the buyer or the seller. A lot of this happens in automated today. AI can check it. You have risk platform along the way. You have consulting companies that does it, the Alicta and things like that. They search for you and say, you want to do business with this company, but this company doesn't have compliance, and you have to have compliance, so you have a problem. So you are being evaluated in the background. If you don't even know that. So if you're not ready, automatically you lost the deal even before you even talked to the buyer. And that happens a lot. You don't even see that. You see, you're not losing the sale. You're filtered out before it even starts. So most team thinks only about compliance, but the deal requires it. A customer comes, he says, I want to buy your product. I want to use your SaaS product. And they say, do you have stock too? And all of a sudden you say, whoa, we don't have stock too. Now you start to run after the stock too. And that's when it actually becomes more expensive or most expensive. Why is that? You're now rushing audits. You're pulling engineers in from other tasks to do the compliance. You're fixing gaps under pressure, vulnerabilities, issues, and things like that. And then it's only if you're proactive, it's predictable. And you're not proactive. So you're being reactive, it's a chaos. And that's the biggest problem. Because if you're thinking about it before, even if it hits you, you're already ready. Usually when your biggest deal is on the line, that's the most problems comes with the compliance issues. So here's the tip. We say turn compliance into revenue. That's part of your revenue stream. You say compliance is not just a cost. It can actually drive revenue. Because if you have a deal with 6, 7 companies, and one of these companies has compliance, most of the companies will say, they are organized compliance, they will go to there to take the deal. So you don't need to be perfect compliance, you don't need to be ready for everything, but you need to understand what is blocking you, and you can fix it fast if the deal comes. And also, you give your sales team the ability to build trust quickly. Why? When you open the deal and you say, listen up, we are compliant, SOC, GDPR, NIST, and things like that, it's a really good opener for sales, because the other company will say, they really doing their things. So sometimes this gap in compliance, that 5,000 euros gap that you didn't do, you didn't buy the product that you needed, you didn't use the consulting team that you needed, you didn't do it yourself, will cost you a deal for 5,000. Okay? So let's do a reality check fast. Let's make it real for a second. Ask yourself, today, when you finish this webinar, go back and ask yourself, can you complete a security questionnaire in 48 hours? If a CISO from another company that you try to sell now comes to you and says, this is my questionnaire, let me see, can you do that in 48 hours? Probably not. Can you provide evidence instantly? That's one of the biggest issues. Probably not. Can you prove your controls without scrambling? Can you say, we are doing something? Probably not. If not, this isn't just compliance issue. It's a revenue button because you are blocking future prospects from yourself. So let's talk about the actual dilemma that, I've talked about why is compliance blocking you. Now let's talk about the dilemma, and don't worry, we're going to give you solutions. We are not going to leave you out there. So let's talk about this. I call it the CTO dilemma. Most of small companies, small SMEs, usually don't have a dedicated security team, and the CTO or the VP engineering usually doing the security and things like that. This is a reality for every CTO today. You need to move fast, but not enough anymore. Enterprise buyer expect security and compliance by default. When they approach you, a big company, they don't even think about it. They say they are probably compliant. So there is no trade-off anymore. And you need to build this trust as fast as we can. We are trying to send this webinar. You have to start early, like Ron said before. You have to start early, not in the middle or in the end of the deal, not coming after 3 years of company and saying, we need compliance now, and we already built a lot of things. Now let's rush it. That's what we're trying to say. And sorry. So let's talk about the real bottleneck. Most teams think they have an engineering problem. They don't. Their engineering is not the bottleneck. The system around them is the bottleneck. Look where time actually goes, mostly. Questionnaires. I don't know if anybody of you actually filled that one. This is a pain. Evidence collection is very hard to do on pressure. When things are running and moving, you need to do evidence collection. You have to do reviews. You have to do audit. You have to do a lot of things. And engineering is just there to keep it, pulling it out all the time because you need to rush it all the time. So now you got high-cost talent doing things that you're not supposed to do, or what we call doing low-value work. You take an engineer from engineering and tell him, do evidence collection. That's something you're not supposed to do. And of course, it stops your velocity. This engineer is out of the team, is out of the JIRA, out of the tasks, and everything. So it's a false trade-off. I like to call it a false trade-off. So most teams believe that there is a trade-off, but it's not true. Move fast, you break compliance. Stay compliant, you slow down. This is not true. I encountered a lot of teams, they told to me, yeah, but in order to be compliant, we have to stop things. I said to them, that's not correct. This is the biggest issue. This is a false trade-off. You can do that fast, and you can still do velocity without stopping. Why? We have systems today in place to do that, and it doesn't supposed to stop you, your dynamic environment or your velocity or your development or your progress or engineering and everything. So, and when you're trying to do manual things in a compliance manual, in a dynamic system, that's where the things fall apart. And what we are trying to say, this is the wrong trade-off. So what changes today? Compliance has to run like your part of your infrastructure and your development. It has to be there, part of the systems. It's not I deploy and then I do compliance. No, it should be running together. Not something that you prepare manually, something that is always on, something is always there. Evidence gets collected dynamically, automatically, all the time in the background. When you need it, you just press it and you got it. Controls are monitored continuously. You need it, you got it. You want to know what's your drift? You can see that. That's called continuous compliance. And that process doesn't stop you from developing fast, from running fast, context switching, deploying fast. So no manual work, no interruption, no last-minute audits. Last-minute audits is the worst thing ever. You see a company, comes a client, we need SOC 2. Everybody stops, and then they start to do things. And then for a month, the company is at hold. And that's the worst case you can have. So we are saying compliance should be your revenue velocity. If you use it correctly, it becomes a velocity for your revenue, business impact. And that's where it becomes advantages. Faster approvals when you use the system, when you use it correctly, shorter sales cycles because you're already compliant. And you can, of course, use it for marketing. You can put it online. You can do whatever you want. Higher win rates. And internally, that's something that usually sales doesn't see that, but the CTO does. Your engineers stay focused. They don't need to, I need to do a compliance plan. I need to move. In the end of the day, compliance, it's not only protecting them and your company, it helps you to close deals. Okay, so let's talk about the CTO action plan, I call it. VP engineering action plan, it's up to you again. So what you actually do next after this webinar, and I'm going to show you in a second another thing. First of all, keep it simple. 5 moves. First, connect compliance to a real compliance system. I'm not saying what system, but use a system. There are a lot of systems there. If it's not part of the production, part of the process, part of the deployment, it's noise. You have to have it, a real system that connected to the real environment. Many customers I see connected to the dev, and they say, okay, when we have compliance, we're going to connect it to production. Then that's not the idea. This production system should collect evidence or should show you the issues in production. Automate evidence early. Very important. Evidence collection is one of the hardest things to do. An auditor usually look at that because they want to see what you're saying in your report. And then you have to start and track. Evidence collection systems are true and real. Centralize your answer. Stop rewriting the same response every time. You have one answer for the same compliance. Use it, reuse it. There are systems for that, but you can do that even manually. But again, I say use systems. Fourth, build it into your pipeline, not only CI/CD pipeline. It should be part of the process, of the developing process, part of the engineering process. And finally, prioritize. Sorry, I'm always, because of the Portuguese, I'm changing words. Prioritize what blocks revenue. Not everything matters equally. Fix what kills deals first. If you have a compliance that has 100 controls, but there are controls that also looks bad when they do the audit. Not every control is the same. Try to do that. Because in the end, you don't need more compliance. You need instant trust. Okay? Now, the question is, what does it actually look like in practice? We are talking about system things. So Vortex, alongside me, part of Vortex, we created a system that is a basic system for compliance. It's a scanner. I'm going to show it. Scans it periodically, creates risk, creates compliance. And I'm going to show it now. You can see my screen. This is a Vortex compliance system. You can see we have currently support SOC 2, PCI DSS, ISO, NIST, and CIS for AWS and GCP. This is a scanner that is not intrusive. It scans periodically your system, and you can see, for instance, we can go to SOC 2, and of course it will not work now because it's just sorry. I need to relog in. My bad. because it was over half an hour open. I hope. Okay, you can see CSS is a little bit harder. You can see this system collects a lot of information from your system. It's a read-only, nothing. You don't have to operate everything, but it's better. And you can see it shows you which criteria you fall, and you can, of course, see the criteria and understand what's wrong, and, of course, check it if you need to fix it. It's created risk, so if you fix something, you can know that. There's an export to PDF, of course, so you need a report, but we also give an option for the admin of the workspace to do export raw if you want to create a report in a different system. You can have a JSON with all your collection, evidence, and a collection that you have, and you can use it in other system to create a better report or to pull it to a different system that has managing your questionnaire, for instance, so you can have it together and have one report to give to the auditor. This system has ability to do, as I said before, a few compliance options, and it scans your system, containers, registry, code. But again, this is a read-only system. It's not an intrusive system. Okay, it just collects and shows you what's your situation. You can use it even to understand where you stand. We can give it as a service, or you can buy it and use it day to day. It's up to you, of course. And the Ron will explain it later. That's it from me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Eldad. We'll move now to Tomer and Alon from Google and Wiz for interesting discussion. Tomer, Alon, I'll let you guys take it from here.
Sure. The audience will judge what's more interesting. I enjoyed the Eldad. I think we'll discuss the different topics. But yeah, for me, it's a privilege again to see Alon. I remember our days in RSA when Wiz was founded, and to experience the speed of innovation and the hype and Log4Shell day that we used to have, and all these milestones that Wiz had. So I'm not sure that people know what does it mean in cybersecurity companies, VP of Threat and Research. Maybe you can tell them as a background, and then we'll continue. A little bit about yourself and the team.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Alon Shindel. I'm leading the AI and the research team at Wiz. Today, for us, I mean, the main goal is to make sure that a product like Wiz, a cybersecurity product, can actually, help our customers. It means that we are trying to understand what attackers are doing, and also how security teams operate and how we can help them. So in examples, in vulnerabilities like Log4Shell, so understanding how can we detect it, how can we make sure that organization will prioritize out of maybe tens or hundreds of findings, they will focus on the ones that matter the most. And once a vulnerability is published, we usually see the exploit after a release, and then understanding how attackers are exploiting this vulnerability, and make sure that we have the detections for that. And I think that today, and that's, I think, a great place to start in, is how AI is changing this whole patching cycle, because we see that first, everything happens faster, the scale is different, and there are significant changes in this area.
Thanks. Tomer?
Yes, fantastic. Thank you. I'm trying to, the mute has a delay. So, Alonso, since you mentioned AI, I want to also share very shortly our latest month day-to-day. So I can share with the team here that I have right now 19 cases, 19 just from our region, Central Eastern Europe, Baltics, of a lot of initiatives that started with naive vibe coding that are helping customers to develop their ideas and ship them fast. But unfortunately, they led to severe and very critical security leaks, ended up with an abuse of token consumption, and a lot of other attacks. I'm sure you see this as at a massive scale. I see the impact. I hate saying it because unfortunately I'm coming to the picture only after it happens. And all we've seen here, starting with SOC 2 and what your guys are doing, are the proactive measures and the security guardrails that are required. Having said that, every startup, just like we started, is trying to balance the speed and the velocity versus the security. And what's your take on that, and how can we provide some tips?
Yes. So, no, it's a great one. So I think that when we think on the impact of AI and how AI is changing a reality today, vibe coding is a great example. And the reason is that we see vibe coding as something that is first expanding the attack surface, because now you have, even without thinking of the security of the code there, you just have more teams who can write code. And we have one example where we saw in a real customer environment where the HR team, they vibe coded a website for the holidays gift. And they exposed all the private data of their employees in this website. And first, it's great that we see more teams that code, that build. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We want to enable teams doing more. But the problem is that you have now these teams don't know security. They don't know how to scan their code. They don't even probably know basic concepts of cybersecurity. And that's like, so one change is this expansion of the attack surface. There are just more, there's more code that is exposed, more applications that are being built, and they're built in new areas. So HR teams, they can build now, other teams from the business side, they can build their applications. And of course, it happens so fast. This vibe coded application, it was built in one day, and this speed, something we've never seen before. The other problem that we see with vibe coding, that the code is not necessarily secured, and we actually had the research where we tried to scan only vibe coded applications, and we saw that for organizations who vibe code, there is, for 1 out of 5 of these organizations, they had same vulnerabilities in their code. So 20% of these organizations were vulnerable because of their vibe coded applications. And I think that what's unique about these issues, that none of them is very complex. There's no new class of vulnerabilities here. The problem is that the code is being generated in the same way, and there are very simple AppSec issues that are being created there. And one example can be just that you create a login page, and the username and password are hard-coded on the client side. So it means that the only thing that attackers need to do is to view the source of the to see the source of the homepage, and they get a username and password, and they can log in. So that's another example to. First, we see more code, but we see that vibe code is still not a mature place. I mean, I think we should vibe code, but we should think about security too in this space. And maybe the third part is how attackers can use AI. And I think that examples like the ones that we have just discussed are great for attackers, because they can scan the internet now and try to find vulnerabilities in web pages with AI. In Wiz, we've built the Red Agent. That's kind of the offensive AI agent that we are using to help our customers find these issues from the outside. So we scan the page, we try to see whether there are misconfigurations, vulnerabilities, or other issues that we can exploit. But I think that in order to and exactly we're trying to do actually what attackers would in this situation, and I think that just AI here, it enables attackers with larger scale, because you don't have to do like in maybe 2-3 years ago, 10 years ago, they had to do all this work manually or with some scripts. Now they can build these scripts faster, and they can use AI to exploit the web pages, and AI can really enable more sophisticated exploitation flows and faster exploitation flows. So I think for teams, and we don't want only to talk about the problem, we also want to propose a solution. So I think for teams who use who want to vibe code or in modern environments, still I think that sticking to the principles of cloud security that we know today is the key to success. So scanning your code. So once the code is deployed, you have to make sure that you have visibility to this code, that you know who is writing code in your organization. You have to know which exposed assets do you have in your organization. You have to scan your code repositories to see if you have any secrets in these code repositories and whether they enable sensitive access. You have to scan the code for other AppSec issues and vulnerabilities, see if you have any vulnerabilities there. And the reason that it's so, these principles that are so critical are even more important today, because once, and we've seen it, I think, over the past weeks, there were many, we saw multiple attacks where secrets were stolen. And once your secret, whether it's a key to your database or whether it's a key that enables changes in your production environment, once it happens, it's a matter of seconds until an attacker will use it. And it can end up with financial loss, like Tomer mentioned, and with these with tens of thousands of dollars that will be spent by the attacker. It can also be by exfiltration of sensitive data, making impact on production and taking it down. We see all these type of attacks that can, in the end, they shift our focus from building to remediating security issues. And this is why in this age of attack, when attackers happen faster and in larger scale, sticking to these core principles is still important.
Thank you very much, Alan. Super interesting. You mentioned the financial loss, so I do want to give one small example for the audience. We're talking about a startup that raised $200K for seed. It's a lot of money. They are targeting mid-market enterprise sales and been doing incredibly well. 1 week before there was an attack, they also applied and asked for the quota tier upgrade. So, like with APIs. And once we understand there's a business use case, we usually advocate for them to ensure that it will happen. A week later, there's no quota, there are no budget alerts, there are no security guardrails. Unfortunately, this company got the attack, that there's data leakage, there's crazy financial loss, and that means bankruptcy. And this is not a result of irresponsibility. I think it's just a matter of prioritization and lack of awareness. I really liked what Eldad and Ran presented here. Compliance is indeed a revenue accelerator, but the good companies don't look at this process just from these eyes, because nowadays SOC 2 is forcing you to ensure you have the security guidelines. And sometimes just this process is also not enough. It's a certificate, but it has to be combined. I think it's a good opportunity to look into the audit that is required, and at the same time to allow the speed to happen. So first of all, for Vortex, thanks a lot for this partnership, what you're doing for our customers. I really think this is a crucial issue that we are trying to solve at scale, and you bring in Wiz to the picture now. Welcome to look into Cloud Next on-demand content. Inon Kostika, VP Product and co-founder of Wiz, presented the concept alone, just surfaced with a RAID agent, and I think just the TLDR of that will be relevant. But the bottom line from my eyes is, first, I don't want to handle these cases because it's such a shame to see business being, disappeared. it doesn't matter if you have, if you go bankrupt, right? And even the company that signed for it, despite the company was compliant, now, you know, it's end of business and there's an impact not only on the customer, but also about for their end customer. And my take, especially after the past 2 months and what's going to come into our industry, is that security is not an issue that you need to address when you scale. It's really like it's not a cliche and it's not a statement. It must start from the early days. It doesn't matter what the size, it just has to be part of everything you put into, as Eldad showed, the CTO action plan. And I'm a big supporter of that. And unfortunately, this is like, I see what happens when it's not the case. So
Tomer and Alon, segueing on that, and then Eldad, I have a question also for you. But Tomer and Alon, from your perspective, working with startups across CE and the Baltics, across the world, but area of focus, where do you see scale-ups making the biggest mistakes when trying to scale quickly, and how does automating compliance help them avoid compromising safety?
So I think from what we see, starting with these security principles is important. I think once you have already started building, it's becoming much harder to go back and change, go back and refactor, go back and try to find all these maybe secrets that I think secrets is actually a great example. Using hard-coded, whether it's a token, keys in your code, is something that, that's the easiest solution. That's where you start. But we see that today we had another research where we found we tried to scan AI companies. And I think what's maybe interesting about AI companies that most of them are new, and these are new companies. They scale maybe faster, but all of them, there are like 2, 3, 5-year-old AI companies, very considered an old company. So we took them and we saw that in most of these companies, they had secrets, public secrets in their GitHub repos or in their employee GitHub repos. And in these, and why does it happen? I think that exactly for this reason, like when you don't start with good security processes and good security standards, it's easy to forget that I'm starting with it's okay, it will be this secret, this key to the database, it will be hard-coded, I'll change it later. But then you forget because you have to, you have other concerns when you grow and you just forget about it. And then like one day, something happens, someone makes a change in the repo, someone exposes this repo, and it will be exposed. So we see it from, even companies that, new companies, and we're not talking about, 20-year-old company that had, someone that did a mistake 20 years ago, and now and everyone forgot about it. Also happens for these, like smaller companies, and especially for companies that want to scale faster. And I think so that's an example for why, starting with good compliance standards, starting with good security standards is so important. It's harder to do it, and you honestly, even if you think that you'll fix it, it's more likely that you won't. And that's why starting with all these processes from day one, it takes some time, but it's the best way to ensure security for the long term.
Thank you. Eldad, we started the discussion today talking about the bottlenecks that companies face. One, the price they pay for not doing compliance, and two, the compliance paralysis that they face once they realize they need to do, and then it cripples half the company. And then we come and we talk about some sort of a quick solution that can yield insights within 48 hours. Can we maybe just elaborate a bit on how we help organizations reach that within such a short time frame and without crippling half the company? Muted.
My bad, sorry. Yeah, the reason we can get organization to our value very quick, and I will connect to what Alon said. First thing, security, and it's not a buzzword. Security and compliance need to start early, not after, early. Companies that starts early usually don't impact. And usually when you see small companies like, solo entrepreneurships and small ones, they usually say, we don't need security, let's run fast. And then that's the biggest problem. But I say, we can help the organization to move fast and to get a value quickly, that we are not starting with an heavy implementation. We are not going now. You cannot go to a company that has 3-4 employees and doesn't have security teams and try to integrate a very heavy solution inside. We connect very fast read-only. The cloud environment takes 5 to 10 minutes, and then it scans automatically the relevant assets and gives you a really fast impact situation. Where you are. It's not fixing. It's saying, look, this is your situation. You want to fix it or not? That's your problem. I think that first thing, and I will connect to Alon, saying, usually they don't even know what they're doing. They're just running fast or the BI. And when you show them, they're like, oh, shit, we didn't know that. So our idea is 48 hours, you get a full scan, a very fast scan. It's not, 6 months consulting group, something like that. It's a fast one. You get a situation now, a snapshot of what you are now, and you can do with this what you want. You can say, I will take care of the hardest thing or not, but it is a fast one. It's a read-only. There is no impact on your system. It's not even moving, the API and things like that. So from a value perspective or practical, it can not only can prioritize your gaps, it can actually help you to move faster. Because if sometimes you fix things, that you will find them later and it will block you later. So it's even a velocity thing for your development. So the point is, it's not a magic, but it's a kind of a snapshot in a very fast situation. And then you can do whatever you want with that.
Thank you. I think it was, and we're a bit out of time, which is good. Always better to be over than under. I want to thank everyone that contributed for today. Eldad, Tomer, Alon, thank you very much for the important insights. And we look forward maybe for the second webinar planned on continuing this topic and evolving it further. So I hope everyone will have a great day, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.